Hi, Amit. I'm starting. Can you hear me right?
Yes, we can start.
Okay. I'll just try to introduce. Just give me a minute. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Data Analytic Group Presence Fabric Data Days. So we successfully completed DP 600 Volume 3. So after that, we planned in a short period of DP 700 as well with Amit, the same set of speakers. So as a part of DP 700 Fabric Data Days, we get started with the first session with Amit Chandak. So Amit Chandak, an introduction is not required, but I'll just try to give a brief about himself. Amit Chandak, he is an Chief Analytics Officer at Kanerika Software, and he is an Microsoft MVP data platform, and he is also a super user at a Fabric community, and he already crossed 45,000, right, on the YouTube channel as well, the subscribers part. Correct, Amit? Am I right?
Yes, yes.
45.
We are recently
Yeah.
crossed 45,000.
Yes, yeah, 45,000. So you can get a valuable insights on Power BI, and even you can try to take the DP 600 or even the DP 700, and you can whatever, whatnot on the Microsoft platform part, you can get it into it. So the first topic is on our site, DP 700 series, implement and manage analytics solution. So today he's going to cover the Microsoft Fabric, how it will be get end-to-end analytics platform and unified environment part, and also he will give some tips and tricks to crack the DP 700 if possible. Maybe the time permits, he can share his insights as well. So Amit, stage is yours. So please take it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rajendra. Thanks for the introduction. Hope I'm audible, and let me share my screen now. And let me know once you are able to see my screen. The screen with my
Yes.
name.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
visible.
Okay, fine. So, so I'll continue. I think Rajendra has told me about me. So in case you need to follow me, you can either follow me on LinkedIn or YouTube and or on my WhatsApp channel. Details you can scan these codes, or I can also provide in the chat window a little later. So today we are going to discuss implementing and managing analytical solutions in Microsoft Fabric. So let's start. First of all, say hi into the chat windows, and if you have some questions, you can post it there. Rajendra will try to address some of those. I will also be trying to take up some questions a little later. So let's begin today's journey on implementing and managing analytics solutions. So what we are going to cover today, DP 700 skill comparison versus other certifications. Like we do have some like DP 600. Previously, we have 203. We'll try to see how it is different than that. Brief introduction to Microsoft Fabric, understanding and managing Fabric environment, ingestion and storing data in Fabric, and integration of data sources in Fabric. It's what we are going to cover. So DP 700 versus others. So we have PL 300, that is for Power BI. So this certification which you do PL 300 is primarily focused on Power BI. So if you are a Power BI engineer working primarily on Power BI, then you have PL 300 for you. Now, if you are a DP, if you are a Fabric Analytics engineer, means you are more focusing on Power BI, SQL, and all those, not very in depth in PySpark or data engineering, then DP 600 is the exam for you. Previously, we used to have DP 203, Azure Data Engineering, which is now getting replaced with DP 700, which is Fabric Data Engineering. So, as you know, Fabric is this new integrated platform, which is now taking over as the choice of platform on Microsoft ecosystem. It doesn't mean that you can't do Azure Data Engineering. You can still do Azure Data Engineering, but our choice, we will be preferring to use Fabric whenever we try to do data engineering on Microsoft Azure. That is why the certification also which we are going to do is DP 700, and those who are DP 203, the last renewal timeline was April, 15th April, I think, and those who have renewed will keep it for 1 year, but you now have to do DP 700. Now, DP 700 is known as Fabric Data Engineering Certification. It's an intermediate level certification. And as a candidate of this exam, what you should be knowing: ingestion and transformation of data, securing and managing analytical solution, and monitoring and optimizing analytical solution. What are the kind of skills you are looking at? Skills we are looking in this exam is SQL, PySpark, and KQL. And Fabric covers, a big set of technologies. So like we have DEX, we have Power Query. If you are a Power BI engineer, so there a little bit of that would be there. Other than you have data pipelines, you have data flow gen to functional questions. You have questions around when to choose lake house, warehouse, and all those kind of stuff could be also be there. So what does this implement and managing analytical solution contain, and how much percentage does it hold in this exam? So it would be around 30 to 35%. Why variable? Because this is a 1,000 marks exam. Typically you need to achieve 700. It's not sometime exactly 1,000. It's around that. So you need to achieve 700 marks, and out of those 700, 30 to 35% questions would be from, means out of the entire exam, 30 to 35% would be around implementing and managing solution, which include configuring Microsoft Fabric workspace setting, implementing life cycle and management in Fabric, means CI/CD and deployment pipeline, configuration of security and governance. And security and governance start with, let's say, workspace security, followed by your item level security, and finally row level security. All is part of an orchestration process. How do you completely run your processes? How do you configure pipelines, etc.? Then we have ingest and transformation, which again would be taking 30-35%, and then monitoring and optimizing solution, again 30-35% is going to take. So first we will do an introduction to Microsoft Fabric. I know some of you have attended quite a few sessions now, and you know about Microsoft Fabric. Just for a refresher, so Microsoft Fabric is end-to-end data analytics platform for enterprise that requires unified solutions. And we will understand this term unified. It encompasses of data movement, processing, ingestion, transformation, real-time event routing, and report building. Means everything which you require for data engineering, whether it's a data movement, processing, transformation, or reports, or real-time, big data, small data, all type things are covered here. It offers a comprehensive suite of services, including data engineering, data factory, data science, real-time analytics, data warehousing, and database. Not only data warehouse, it also contains OLTP database. So that's what all Fabric includes. Now, why do we need Fabric? Because we did talk about, when we were discussing DP203, that we can do these things in Azure also. So why there is a need of a unified platform like Fabric? And the reason is this photograph. This is the number of choices for what we have discussed just now in the last slide. We discussed about few processes or few workloads, means we talk about real-time analytics, we talk about data warehousing, we talk about OLTP, we talk about data processing, data ingestion. We have 1,000+ technologies to cover that. So now we have 1,000+ technology just for doing this data engineering. What should I choose? When should I use what? Which one is better? We can do a project. We can do a 2 to 3 months project just for this, on this only. Okay. So now what Microsoft has done, Microsoft realized that, okay, this is a big challenge. Means on Azure also they give, everything has a 4-5 choices. You want to choose a database, tons of database is available. You want to have ingestions, tons of ingestion methods are available. You want Spark processing, Databricks, Azure Databricks, then you have this, you have that. So much of technologies are available. So what they've done is they pick up the best of the platforms for data factory, data engineering, data warehousing, data science, real-time analytics, and visualization, and put them into a lake-centric platform, that is Microsoft Fabric. Okay, so what we are getting here? So one lake, first of all, we are getting, which is basically a centralized data lake or delta lake for your entire data. Whether it is data or meta, everything is going to be stored in one lake. Then the compute. You can use single compute for your entire ecosystem. Whether you are running warehouse, whether you are running lake house, whether you are running Spark engine, for everything you can use one single compute. You can also use multiple compute. What else does it give? Is it just a kit by combining storage and compute, or is it more than that? No. Microsoft has done ground up work to bring in this comprehensive platform, and this platform provides you unified architecture. Means the entire thing has been rebuilt with the unified architecture, unified experience. You will not feel that this is different when I'm in Synapse, or when I'm in Power BI, or when I'm in, let's say, Azure Data Factory. I may feel they're different products, or Databricks for sale. But here you will not feel, whether you are on notebook, whether you are using lake houses or warehouse, everywhere you will see, okay, this is looks like similar environment. Unified governance from the workspace security, or using Microsoft Purview for the security, till that time item level security, the unified governance is available and security is available. Unified business model, the business model is very much simplified. You need compute, you need storage, and you have different kind of storage for which you have charges. The primary storage is the 1 lake storage, and then we have high real-time high responsive storage, which is cache storage, that is available. And you have to pay for transfer prices as usual. These are applying to the clouds like Azure, with very simple method of billing. Now, what happens in case of Microsoft Fabric? All your data is going to stored on 1 lake. Okay, so build on top of Azure ADLS Gen 2. 1 lake support any kind of data. Your data could be audio, video, structured, unstructured, everything can be saved. If it is a structured data, whether it's a lake house or whether it's a warehouse, we are going to save it in Delta Parquet format. What does it going to do? This Delta Parquet is when you are reading and writing to Delta Parquet, then whether data is in lake house or warehouse, you don't require to create a copy. Let's say lake house use a different format and warehouse use a different format. Then I need a copy of the data if I want the better performances in warehouse. But that's not the case here. It can, warehouse can read the data. It also stores data in Delta Parquet. Now Power BI always prefer import mode. Here that's not the case, because Power BI engine has been redesigned to work on Delta Parquet format, and now it treats it like, you know, kind of like import format. So we have a new format, new connection now in Power BI, or new way to connect with the data, which is direct lake mode, which is very similar to import mode. It's a combination of like direct lake, direct query, and import mode, where we don't duplicate the data and we still get the performance of import mode. Okay, it do have compatibility with the existing ADLS Gen 2 and applications like Databricks. Data in 1 lake is addressable if it's as like one big ADLS account. It's one per tenant. Basically, you will see a virtualized storage. Your regional aspect will be taken care at the workspace level, but you will feel like you have only one single storage. Every workspace appear as a container within the storage account. Azure Databricks Unity Catalog integration in development, which is also on development. And it takes care in the back end of, you know, all your metadata, table structures and everything. It takes care, means you don't have to look into much of the details. Now, there are a couple of questions which I can see on the chat window. One is, suggest the best resources to learn PySpark for beginners. Now, if you know a little bit of, let's say, Power Query from UI, then we have a similar kind of a UI which is available in PySpark, where you can start experimenting with the UI and it will generate the code. Other than that, I have a blog where I have, you know, shared the basic PySpark commands, and I also covered that into one of the videos in my channel, what you should be knowing. Okay, there is a question, are there any openings in my company? Yes, we always are hiring. Okay, so you can apply whenever you see it on LinkedIn, or you can DM me on WhatsApp. Okay, so how does we get the data in Microsoft Fabric? See, Microsoft Fabric support more than 200 plus sources. Now we can bring in the data using Data Factory, which include Dataflow Gen 2 and data pipelines. In data pipelines, we have data copy data activity, which itself support 40-50 sources. Data flow Gen 2 supports around 200 sources. Then we have something known as copy job, which supports around another 10-15 sources, and it's very powerful because it has a lot of options for um, your change data capture, CDC. Similarly, mirroring is there. Mirroring, again, you don't need to take care of change data capture. It automatically takes care of change data capture, and at least 5-10 sources are there. Then we have shortcuts, which you don't need to bring in the data. You can see the data where it presents. Okay, so you can bring in the data. So shortcut, mirroring, copy job, data flow Gen 2, all these helps you in bringing data into Microsoft Fabric. Now let's understand the Fabric environment. So how does it start? So when you purchase Microsoft Fabric or Power BI, you first of all have your tenant. Now you should be very careful when you do it for first time where your tenant is going to be created. Okay, it usually get created to the nearest data center what you have. Okay, so I have a tenant, like my organization will have one single tenant, one domain. That for the domain we have a tenant. Now inside that tenant we can have multiple capacities. Capacities is basically like your compute. So when we talk about, I have, in Power BI world we used to say P1 capacity, P2 capacity. In Fabric world we talk about F2, F4, F8, F16, F32, F64, F128 capacities. Basically they help in compute. Then we have domain, which is basically virtual layer, like sales domain, finance domain. These are virtual. They contain actually the data below via workspaces. And workspaces is the first container of data. Here we will have our lake houses, warehouses, reports, dashboards, data flow Gen 2, data pipelines, everything is inside those. Those are items basically. Those are the items which you are creating. Now, workspace is the level from where you start your security for the development and end user. They can be, workspace admin, members, viewers, contributors. Then further, you have inside the workspace, you have items like lake houses, warehouses. You can control the security at that level. Further inside that one, you can go ahead and, even have RLS or CLS, column level security, row level security, or object level security. And there is a question, is it data wrangler? Yes, data wrangler I am talking about. Somebody is asking, they are already having Power BI. So if you have Power BI in your organization, you can always enable a free trial of Microsoft Fabric. Every organization can enable, as long as, and even if you don't have Power BI, then also you can enable a free account. As long as you have a domain which is attached with Microsoft, means then you should be able to start your own trial. See, managing capacity is basically the compute unit management. You have to go to the admin module for both capacity and domains. Domains are basically controlling the workspaces level stuff at a centralized level. Like all the sales workspace would be, handled by sales domain admin. But capacities are basically little more at the admin level, which tenant admins can go ahead and purchase the capacity. So capacity will be actually purchased in portal.azure.com, where your domains could be decided in app.powerbi.com or app.fabric.microsoft.com. So you purchase a capacity and then you say, okay, these users can use this. Those capacities start appearing in the Power BI tenant, and then from there you can further allocate these capacities to workspaces. Whenever you create a workspace, you need a capacity in case of Fabric. And domain is optional, means you may or may not have domain. Domain is just a configuration. It's just a clubbing up of your data in the domains, basically marketing, sales, etc. So what does workspace does for it? Centralized environment for data engineering. Collaboration starts from here, means you can share the data, you can uh, you develop something, your colleague can go ahead and participate in the same work, so that collaboration start here. Managing data access and security, this is the first place the security applies. We can say, okay, this person is admin, he have access to everything. This person is a viewer, he can only view the data. Or we can go ahead and revoke certain, let's say this person cannot see these lake houses and all those, we remove from the entire access. Environment management starts from here. So basically the complete lake houses, everything what you want to give access, that happens from here. Lifecycle management and deployment process also start from here. I mean CI/CD or your deployment pipelines all start from workspace level. Performance optimization, like there are areas like the Spark setting you want to change, or all those things you can also do from. Integration with one lake means definitely there is a centralized one lake, but if you want some regional aspect to be covered, again at the workspace level, just like you can decide capacity, you can also decide the ADLS Gen 2 stuff which you want to have. So I'll just go ahead and showcase to you where all these properties are. So just give me a second. I'll bring another window out here. So if I go to any workspace, so these are all the objects and I can manage the access. I can decide the people whom I wanted to give the access. Okay, the different roles. Now, it is not necessary I give it at the workspace level. I can go to the individual item level. Let's say this lake house. Even though somebody is not available at a workspace level, I can go ahead and still decide to share with that person. And while sharing, I can decide read all SQL analytics point, read all Apache Spark, build reports on default semantic model. Now this option will soon go away. Execute Apache Spark job on Lakehouse, etc. Okay, this kind is the main things come here. Workspace settings. Now inside the workspace setting, the general setting is just for you and you to decide domain, and domain is optional. You can have none also. Then you have the OneDrive, workspace OneDrive groups, etc. And then you can even remove the workspace if you like. Then license info. This is very important. Here you decide your capacity. So this is using trial capacity, but I can use paid capacities also. So if I go here, if I have a purchase fabric capacity, I can use embedded capacity or Power BI premium capacities can also be used. Then Azure connections, ADLS Gen 2. If you want very specific ADLS Gen 2, your regional level ADLS Gen 2, you can have it here. System storage tells you about what all you have and how much memory that is having. Git integration, Azure DevOps or GitHub in case you wanted to source control your data at the workspace level. That is again can be enabled at here. OneLake file explorer if you want to download and manage from your desktop. Cache if you want to enable for the shortcut, and add diagnosis event to Lakehouse means the monitor the users and investigation of issues with diagnosis event. If you want to enable it and want to save it Lakehouse, you can enable it here. Workspace identity, the new mechanism very similar to your service principal, but at the workspace level, that's something you can also explore. Outbound networking, if you want some kind of control on that, you have it here. Inbound networking, uh, connections, what connections you want to allow, or you want private links and all those, that is you can control from it. Encryption, if you want to bring your own managed keys, that's the place. And monitoring, if you want to monitor all the events which are happening, you can take it to an event house and manage it. Then Power BI setting, like secure update, allow the contributor to update the app, means whether they can update the app. So now contributors cannot update the app, but if you want to give the permission, you can give. And template apps if you have. Data connection, enable granular access control if you want, and embed codes. Similarly, data engineering, this is really interesting, and then we will jump back. Now this is your what starter pool you are using. Now you can create a new pool. Now this is a big question which you have. What can I increase? Let's say how many we are right now is F64. So let's see, can I go to 65? No. Can I go till 63? 62. Let's say 14. I can go 32. Okay, max 32. I think half of the capacity I can take. So half of the nodes I can take here. So I can go, because I'm on F64, I can go to 32 small. Let's say medium. So I can go 16 medium only. Large, I can only go 8 large. Okay. That's the only I can go ahead here. Okay. And let's say, can I go beyond and change it? Then there are places where you have extra large and all, then you need memory optimized. That's the only option available. So here you can change the spark setting. And whatever you're changing from here is actually you are consuming from your same pool. Okay. It's not that there is a different pool from where you're consuming. It's the same spark, same capacities whose units you are going to consume. So even if you run it, you are going consuming the same capacity. Okay, so if you want to define, you can define the pool. Then environment you can define. If you still want to work with little older environment, you can do that. You have job, so jobs, if you want to, like, reserve the maximum number of core for active jobs. High concurrency for notebooks, for pipelines and multiple notebooks. If you want to enable pipeline, we enable, because if we are running a pipeline, then we also would like to make sure that the high concurrency is there, means same Spark session can be used, and automatic logging if you want to track that. So these are some of the important stuff which we were discussing there. So these all controls are available at the Fabric workspace level. And this is, it is showing here, okay, what's there in the Fabric workspace. We already discussed these things. I think we should look at a few more items. Let me tell you that. So basically all your items are available here. You can check and take some actions on that. Okay, new items means you want to start some like data pipeline, data flow gen 2, you want to create a lake house, warehouse, everything starts from new items, including your mirroring, copy job, report, dashboard, all things can start from here. So these things we have seen. And these are some of the settings which I've already shared with you. Workspace settings for Azure, setup gate, configure one lake settings, etc. I've shown you. Again, the second set of settings. Now, some of the things which we left out is this Apache Airflow runtime settings, and you can have the embed code settings and Spark pool settings, which you can furthermore explore. Okay. So how the security flows in. So first of all, we have workspace roles. You have seen 4 workspace roles when we went there: admin, member, contributor, and viewer. Then we have item permissions. Individual items I can secure. Further, we can give the granular permission below item level, means we can read all, and share the whether we want to share the SQL endpoint or not, all those granular. And then one lake data access control. Basically, further we can have RLS or CLS or OLS. All those can also be done. Then definitely, if you are in Fabric, you want it to do CI/CD, means you do want it to have a control over your data. There are few places where we have the versions, like semantic model has its own versioning, where it is already happening even if you don't do. Similarly, the backups are already happening, means backup of data happens. Now, code backup, if you want to take, let's say you created a notebook. Notebook has its own version also, but you want to control it. You want to share it with others. You want to have a process like, people commit and to a branch, and then it goes to central branch. All those kind of process which you require, which typically you are doing in continuous integration and development, you can use either Azure DevOps, or you can also use Azure DevOps, or you can use GitHub for that integration. You can implement database project, create and configure deployment pipeline. Deployment pipeline, those who are from the Power BI world know, that was the only thing which we have to migrate from dev, test, production, or if you have more than that environments. What happens? We don't create only one single workspace. We create multiple workspaces. Workspaces for data, workspaces for reporting. And then we have workspaces for development, test, and production. So development is the place where we all go ahead and do the development. Then when we have little stable code that we wanted to move to test. And once the testing team sign it off, we move it to production to the end user, where we will have the least amount of intervention from development. It is not that I went ahead and changed some code and the report is broken for the end user. That will not going to happen. So that is why we always have at least 3 set of environments: dev, QA, or dev, test and production, or uh, dev slash QA or prod, 2 environments. At least we will have that much. Then Git integrations, workspace can be connected to Git providers, Git in Azure DevOps, GitHub, GitHub Enterprise. Deployment pipeline, assign the workspaces in deployment pipeline. Like you can say, this is my dev workspace, this is my test workspace, this is my QA workspace. Compare content between each stages. You can compare the content and then create deployment rules. Deployment rules basically when you, let's say you take a report from dev environment to production environment or dev environment to test environment. Now it may take a data from a source which is also test or source which is also production. Sometimes what happens in development, you don't want to keep all the entire data. So you may not bring it from the same source. You may have SAP, also, let's say SAP is your source. So SAP might also have dev, QA and production or QA and production. So those things need to change. So that's where the deployment rules are going to help. Then Fabric REST API, how that they automatic deployment process with Git commands to commit and update workspaces. So you do have your REST APIs to control these things. It is not that you need to use the deployment pipeline or the Git which we have given there. There are backend REST APIs which you can do, and you can automate the complete process. How do we ingest and store the data in Fabric? Okay, so what all we have? Dataflow Gen 2, for this is for ingestion. Dataflow Gen 2 low code. Now, those who might have heard about Power Query data flows in the Power BI world, this is the same thing. Power Query or Dataflow Gen 2. So Dataflow Gen 2 use Power Query for internally the M language. Data flows were also used to use. The difference between the Dataflow and Dataflow Gen 2 is Dataflow Gen 2 have a destination, and it has furthermore capabilities to work with environment like Fabric, saving it into Delta format and reading Delta format also. So Dataflow Gen 2 is low code. Basically everything option is in UI, but don't get yourself limited to UI. If you look at my beginner tutorial series, I have discussed many such Power Query functions which can solve so many problems. Like we have double pivot problem, is double header problem, double pivoted problem. Then we have problems like multiple Excel sheets we have, and we just want to merge the data of those Excel sheets and all those. There are so many problems which can be solved using Dataflow Gen 2, and it is really a choice of platform for those who are coming from Power BI world. But the thing is, it is not a extendable platform for the large volume. Like what happens in notebooks or Spark, not only you can bring the data, but when you process the data, the number of nodes, you saw that we can change the number of nodes. Now these number of nodes can increase and can handle that volume of data. But Dataflow Gen 2, that handling is not going to be so wide or so spread that it can handle very large volume of data. And that's where, when we have really large volume of data, we start preferring notebooks for the transformation than Dataflow Gen 2. But Dataflow Gen 2 still remain a choice for bringing in data because it supports around 200 sources, and it is more than anyone else, where it is we can just pick and choose. Like Data Factory, we have copy job, and we also have, so like in fact pipelines, we have copy data activity, and we do have a copy job separately. They combinedly support some 40-50 sources. Now notebooks, everything which is supported on Python is there, but easily configuration is Dataflow Gen 2. Again, notebooks could have again source as much as Python can support. Then we have shortcuts. Now shortcuts is you can look into the data which is lying at other place without bringing in the data. Now there is a shortcut cache which is required because you can't go and query data always. So that's where we have shortcut caching mechanism. Mirroring is duplicating the data. But the advantage with mirroring that Microsoft offers in the billing is basically, and you have to check the latest one. But if you have let's say F2 capacity, you will get 2 terabyte of free storage. If you are an F64, you will get 64 terabyte of free storage. And that is why users prefer that they will save on the from the mirroring on the storage if they are bringing in data. But the thing which you need to be aware of, that mirroring is bringing continuous data from your sources. And once anything bringing continuous data from your sources, it means your source may charge you for taking out the data. So you need to be really careful if you are doing mirroring, that how much you are getting charged for taking out that data. Event stream, and I think we are going to have a session tomorrow when we have in person, and I think in the past Rajendra has taken session, Surya has also taken sessions on real time analytics. This is basically for real time. You listen to the events. Now those events could be coming from Event House, Event Hub. Those events can be coming from Event Hub, and then we have various other things like Kafka and all those IoT devices. We can have these things. So these event streams can listen to those events. We can take some action, or finally can save them to the event house. We can do direct uploads. We have an upload option. We can directly upload the file. And when you use one legged explorer, that is also the upload only. When to choose between shortcuts and mirroring? So we have to understand shortcut. First of all, it should be available. Like the newest shortcut which you should explore is the SharePoint and OneDrive shortcut. It's really amazing. Means it can read your flat files and convert it into a table. Okay, and it can manage by itself. The shortcut, that's amazing. Or the mirroring. So shortcut, if you're an ADLS Gen 2, your data is lying in a data format or files are lying, why to copy them again? Just look at those, or even for that sake in GCP, if you have that. Shortcut is really helpful. Now mirroring is that case, it's supported for a few databases where you need to bring in the data, you need to bring in here. The data has to be copied. In shortcut, we don't copy. We may have cache for faster support, but mirroring is when you want to copy the data. So when you want to bring in the data into the fabric, mirroring could be your first choice to bring in. If it is available, it could be your first choice. Okay, unless it's proving it too costly or putting too much of load on your source, mirroring could be your first choice because you don't have to manage it. It's already managed. All uh, chain data capture is taken care of. So mirroring is when you're trying to copy the data, first choice. Shortcut is when you don't want to copy, you just want the core data to be there. And now there are a few new things which is coming, like shortcuts to OneDrive and SharePoint, where it will also convert to the table, automatically take care of all those. That could be really good thing to explore. Now in that case, the data will get copied. Now storage, what all you are going to do? Lakehouse. Now most of the people in Fabric world, and especially those who are coming from Databricks world, Lakehouse would be your choice. Now Lakehouse, you can keep one. Lakehouse provide you more flexibility than compared to data warehouse. And why we are Lakehouse and data warehouse, because there are two choices for OLAP, online analytical processing, because SQL database is for my OLTP data, transactional data I'm going to save. I'm not going to use it for analytics because it creates another copy of the data. Event house is for real time. So if I have such a velocity of data that I don't want to save it in Lakehouse, or I cannot do the analysis of data when the data is not committed and data which is committed, then I'm going to use the event house. Very high velocity data is going to go to event house. Lakehouse and warehouse is our choice. How do we choose between the two for OLAP? One is, if your choice of technology is going to be SQL versus PySpark, then you are going to choose one. So PySpark, Lakehouse, data warehouse, SQL, T-SQL. Then we have, if you have unstructured data, you want to keep the unstructured data also with you, you have to go for Lakehouse. Warehouse doesn't have option for that because it's all about structured data only. Then you have more controls, like deciding the table, how much history it should keep, how many days of history it should keep, what kind of V order you should have, and all those are more controllable in Lakehouse level. Data warehouse, we do have we do have the history in data warehouse, but it is only for, let's say, 28 30 days, which Microsoft has decided. We do have clustering now available, which is very similar of your the things you would be doing in partitioning or indexing, which allows you to make warehouse perform better. So there are different features which are available, which is keeping it up to date. But if you are the one who deals with SQL, you want it you can use data warehouse. But if you really need a very large scale want to work with PySpark, where your node can expand and process your data by taking the huge infrastructure, then Lakehouse is your choice, because that's a default destination. You can run PySpark now and save your data on warehouse, but the natural source is Lakehouse. So choices based on the type of data, the type of technology, you can take it. Definitely, if you are building some application, you have some data which is transactional data, SQL database is your choice. Sometime you may bring in the data to SQL database, it automatically because you will find it can copy, means it can have faster inserts than compared to data warehouse, and then it do create a replicated copy which is equivalent of data warehouse, which we call SQL analytics endpoint, where it creates a copy in data. Then event house, if it is too much of velocity, event house, that's the best choice. Now choose the ingestion methods. How do we choose? Data volume, how much data is volume, huge volume, lake houses, data type, ingestion frequency, very high frequency, real time, event house. Near real time could be basically, if it's a transactional data, it could be SQL database. If it is batch, then warehouse and lakehouse. Development persona and skill set, again SQL, whether I prefer, or PySpark I prefer, Scala I prefer, or I'm doing a data science or data engineering. Or instead of data engineering, if I'm talk about data science, or maybe I'm a data scientist or want to do machine learning, then I definitely want to use PySpark, would prefer to have data in my lakehouses. Integration need, what are our integration need? Are the sources of support your performance requirement? Like I say, if you need really large scale, PySpark is your choice, and then Lakehouse is a natural choice for that. Complexity of data transformation could be another way. Means some people feel really good by writing down complex SQL. Like though PySpark can do everything, but those nested SQL, those who have written, I think that we can write down such a complex code in SQL very easily. So sometimes you feel really comfortable writing down our code in TSQL. Similarly, you can do in Spark SQL also, but yes, it's very easy sometimes to write down complex logic in T-SQL or Spark SQL compared to PySpark. Means you can see the entire code logic at one place. You don't have to look every line by line what is happening there. So it's easy to understand. That's why also sometimes you prefer SQL for your transformation. Now in the Spark world, it is Spark SQL. In the warehouse world or in the SQL world, it is T-SQL. Okay, somebody has asked this question: what are the prerequisites for Fabric? Yeah, I think Rajendra has asked follow-up questions. Nice. Uh, So I think prerequisite for Fabric, if you're in an organization, if you want to have the Fabric, definitely you need to be doing some kind of a data engineering project. You want to learn, I think definitely SQL and little bit knowledge of Power BI always helps. Means you should be coming from data analytics world. Fabric is going to be really difficult if you're not coming from data analytics world. Means having no idea of data analysis, you are fresh out, you even did not study ERP as a subject or data as a subject, then Fabric could be little challenging. But if data was a subject, whether it is SQL, whether it is Power BI, whether it is Tableau, whether you have worked on Databricks, means any data engineering or maybe data science as a subject, if you have studied, you will really feel easy in Microsoft Fabric. That means, so kind of technology you should be exploring, start exploring. If you don't know anything, start with, my always thing is, if you don't know about the data world, start with little bit of Excel and then move to databases and learn about database concept, SQL and data warehousing concept, and then jump onto the Fabric. Because unless you don't understand data warehousing concept, you will not be able to appreciate this entire ecosystem and all those things which you need to do. Now integration of data sources in Fabric, integrate data sources in Fabric. I'm reading, oh yeah, correctly, yeah. So data factory, you have data flows gen 2 for data integration. Means you can bring in data from different sources, you can integrate it. Data pipelines can help in notebooks. Means notebooks is one of the thing where we have whether we do PySpark, Scala, R or Spark SQL, they are the biggest place where we are going to do this data integration, data science, everything. Then real-time intelligence, we have real-time KQL basically for real-time ingestion, transformation, real-time data analysis, we use KQL. Then we have real-time dashboards also there where you can use that, and then you can also use Activator for your alerting, etc. Now data pipelines is something which is basically not only used for bringing data. Means when we think about data pipeline, the first thing comes to us is copy data activity. Now data pipeline is not only about copy data activity, it's also about the orchestration, bringing everything together. You are running a notebook for transformation. You are bringing data using copy activity, data flow gen 2. Maybe a notebook is only bringing data. All these things you are going to combine and put into a process where it get executed. That is what data pipeline can do. So it can help you in deciding that flow and how that flows also. Let's say if something fails, what is the action need to be taken? If something is success, what action need to be taken? Maybe failure has a different action, success has a different action. You want to loop also. Pipeline can allow you to loop. Let's say I need to run one particular notebook 10 times because of 10 different sources or something like that. All those things you can do in pipeline. So pipeline is meant for orchestration. So it's not going to happen that, I'm going to create a data flow gen 2 and then second notebook and the third maybe something else. And then, okay, I'll say 5 a.m. run data flow gen 1, 5:30 run notebook. And let's say there is another procedure, T-SQL procedure run at 6 because we think this is going to take half of hour now. No, we're going to put all of them into a pipeline and schedule one after another or in parallel depending on the need. So either they are going to run in parallel or sequential one after another one depending on success or failure. So all those orchestrations going to happen in pipeline. And then you have pipeline have parameters, which those parameters can help you to make it a little more dynamic, and those can be passed to now your notebooks also. That can make further your notebooks also little more dynamic. Now, what are the supported language we have in, especially in notebooks? I think I called it out multiple times. Spark, SQL, Scala, Python, PySpark we call there, R. Now HTML also is a little bit supported if you need. And if I only talk about notebooks, we do support normal Python and we do support normal SQL, T-SQL basically. But those are not Spark notebooks. Those are SQL notebooks and Python notebooks. Okay, they are not using your Spark engine. They use little less. They use their own kind of capacity. When means if you are running only Python, it's going to use capacity because everything you want to run needs an engine, needs a CPU. Okay, and that's going to come from your capacity. It's going to consume something, but it's not going to consume like a Spark a cluster. Maybe you are running PySpark, it consumes let's say 2 CUs, or let's say 64. If we divide 64 units, so it may be using 2 units instead of you using all 64 units. Some same is when you use T-SQL, it may be consuming some amount of units, and depending on how heavy it is, it may change those number of units. Then for scheduling and automation, you can also use some PySpark code or pipelines. AI/ML you can do on your what you call notebooks, and Spark integration definitely there. One of the thing which you have is we have something this known as semantic link library and semantic link lab. A lot of automation can be done using that, and that's the preferred choice for some of us to manage these things. Like one of our developers was have created migrating measures from one semantic model to another semantic model. All these can be done using SAMPy, what we call semantic link library or semantic lab library. So there are so many things which are available in notebooks, and in fact in notebooks you can also call your Power BI report can be called. You can call your Power BI UI and you can have some kind of um, similar kind of experience in the notebook also. So notebook is really powerful. Do go ahead and explore out. I do have explained all these things in different videos, especially the Power BI UI and SAMPy basics things which have been used. All these are covered. Then definitely real-time intelligence. We have event streaming, real-time data ingestion and transformation happens using event streaming. Event house is basically, if you might have heard about Kusto database in the Azure world, that's the same thing which is coming here. Okay, event house, storage and querying data real time, it helps. KQL query set is basically when you run the KQL query, the query set which we have, this KQL query set. Real-time dashboard. Now we have Power BI, which we can use for dashboarding, but there is a real-time dashboard. It can, you know, the refresh of that could be, as low as 1 second or immediate. It can immediately refresh as soon as it sees some, changes in the stream. So that is real-time dashboard for you. And if you are looking for, some kind of um, dashboards which are, just refreshing as the things move, then real-time dashboard is the option. Activities, it automated triggers. Basically, it's when the, let's say, stream of data comes in. Let's say it's a temperature data or some kind of a data where you want to give warning. So it crosses something above or below. Uh, then you want to send some message. The message can be sent on Teams or message can be sent on Outlook. You can decide that and you can use data activator for that. Or you can kick in another process like Power Automate Flow or something like that. You can also do. Or maybe you would like to call out a notebook post that. That all also is possible. Now, all what we are doing this thing is basically for doing DP 700, and this an initiative from Microsoft of Fabric Data Days. And in these Fabric Data Days, we are also getting vouchers from Microsoft site, and you have to apply for those vouchers, and you should apply that using https aka.ms/fabric data days. Now, when you go to this website, you will see various options. I think I can showcase you. Just give me a second. I just want to see. Rajinder, we have some 10 minutes or you want?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have time. Yes.
So just wanted to check. Okay. Yeah, we are almost reaching to the end. So I can show you this. I think this is a very common question which comes in. So I'll paste this from another place to the. And I explain the process of applying vouchers. Some of those who have not applied till now. So, and I might not have a login here. So first of all, if you don't have a community login, you have to register for the community login. Okay. And prefer registering it from your personal emails. Okay. You can use organizational email, like it is asking for my organizational email. It just taken it. It just logged me in using my organizational login. It asks for a username. You need to submit it with your this one, and then your profile will be great. Once you have a profile, you will be able to apply for your DP 600 700 voucher. Now, so let me showcase you from a place where I already have the login, community login. So this is my community login. After I'm logged in into the community, again, it should be created with your personal profiles, personal emails. Previously, there was a restriction when I started the community. You always need an organization ID. So mine is created on organization ID, but I think now they have allowed the personal emails. Now click on this 100% discount voucher if you want to give DP 600 and 700. If you want to give PL 300 or DP 900, 50% discount voucher. Click on this 100% discount voucher, and then you need to fill in the details. So country you from whichever you belong, DP 600 or 700. I think today's crowd is more interested in DP 700. But if you have watched Rajendra's previous series, want to give DP 600, you need to give that. Why do you want to give get Fabric certified? Keep your answer a little unique. Why you wanted to do it? Don't just copy paste from others or take from ChatGPT. What challenge do you complete? So you have to give this challenge, the challenge which Rajendra, the session which Rajendra is running, you need to give that name, preferably put Rajendra's name into that one, that I'm attending that session from Rajendra. Okay. When you want to like to be take exam, be specific. You have to call any date before December, because if you don't, then you'll not get it. How would you study for exam to pass, ensure you will pass? So I think we have a lot of material which is done by MVPs. You have my channel. We have a couple of videos. I think I shared it multiple times. And let me share those two videos. Finally, they will help you in preparation. But those are also coming from MVPs. But you can call that we are studying from MVP sessions, and we are also taking help from Microsoft Learn content. So Microsoft Learn, and these are the videos for DP 700, DP 600. There are a few videos which cover around 10 hours, and they should be used a week before your exam. Means once you prepare, once you're all done with your basics, watch series from Rajendra and me, and then you say, okay, now it is a week, then you should start those videos and make sure you finish them before you give exam. And they do discuss about what kind of question comes in and all those. So good videos to watch. I think 6 hours and 10 hours. But I think you can choose only one video and then should be good. Uh, when do you plan? I think we already discussed how will pass study, Microsoft Learn, MVP content, and you can specify some of those. How did you hear about this? You can tell, okay, we attended the Rajendra's conference or the series. Uh, do you have a Microsoft certification? If you already done with something, you can do. Do you do you work for a Microsoft partner organization? If your organization is a Microsoft partner, then you have to fill in. Otherwise, you can leave blank. You have to commit yes, you have to affirm it yes, and then you can submit it. So then within 14 days you should get a voucher. If you don't get a voucher, I think there is a email link which is also been asked for. So I think after 5 days or 10 days you can drop an email to that, but make sure that you apply it before 5th of December. Okay, because after that, if you apply, you will not get vouchers, and that is specific time. So for us it is 6th afternoon. And then if you don't get voucher by 15th, you will not be able to schedule your exam. So I think scheduling of exam is by 15th, and exam has to be taken by 31st December. So these are the few key dates which you should remember. So now what we are going to do, I explained it, and I think that the content is pretty much covered. Let me see if there is anything else. Prep for exam day. So I think this is also going to be covered in the last session. Get hand-on, review available prep course, complete the Microsoft Learn module, and practice test. So practice test link is something which I can give you. I think it will also be covered as part of the last session, but these are from Microsoft. You do have some, content floating on internet, various places. You can find that. You can search for DP 700 exams, and you will get some more questions. But I think these are the official one. You can use those. Now we can take up some questions. I think we are left out with few more minutes, so we can take up some questions. Let me switch on my camera again. Let me scroll and see if there are some questions. I can give you the lots few more things here. I don't see any open questions, so let me know. Rajendra, you want to add something here?
No, I mean, you already covered, Amit. Most of the, I mean, like whoever joining the sessions, they are at a confusion level at where to register. Like you just discussed that part also very clear. So whether they have to go and enroll with their personal email or official, there is a little bit confusion. And we are also getting some requests like, I mean, once registered, right? How many days it will take to get the voucher? Those that is another question which we are facing, seeing the regular wise. You already
I'll tell you,
covered
it
that part
typically
also.
takes 2 weeks, but be very careful. These forms are getting checked very
Yes.
thoroughly. Means, and if you are using some copy pasted content or some AI driven content, it may fall to rejection. So just be
Yes.
little natural and paste the correct series. And that's why I say when you are attending Rajendra series, please put his name so that it's known. Okay, this MVP has done this series, and because we have registered these series there. So if
Correct.
you see the second link, which is also important link, uh, all of us has registered our series under this DP 700, and you will find the series name there.
Yeah.
I think I'm not having that link handy, but we have a link where we have all these series registered.
Yes.
Mm,
I'm just
yeah,
pasting here in the chat.
yeah.
This one.
Yeah. So typically, preferably use those names where you are attending. Maybe you attended all the sessions from Rajendra, put Rajendra's name. You attended my sessions, you can put my name. But just make sure that you do that so that when we check it out or when you send out the mail, it is always easy to refer, because you have to tell, okay, I have submitted my form with my this email ID, and then I have attended this session. So just take a note of that. So these are the things. Yes, and if you are still
Yes.
not getting, then I think there is an email ID where you can drop the email. I'll share that with Rajendra. If Rajendra have, he will share with you. So we'll share that email ID where you can check out for that. still don't get it, we can check on that. But at least 5 days after the this one, it doesn't mean that you apply for the voucher today and you drop a mail next day. Where is my voucher? That should not happen.
If no questions, we are good. And please try to fill the form. So our form has been shared so that the first session is today and the next remaining sessions we are conducting on Sunday morning. It will get started 10 o'clock and remaining sessions will be covered. So please join there as well. So Amit, again, I'm thankful to you. So for taking the first session in DP 700, thank you so much. We'll meet you soon on tomorrow's session as an offline.
Thanks, Rajan. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you
Thank you.
everyone for joining. Such a odd time on Friday, and I
Yes.
really appreciate all of you making it in a large number. Thanks a lot
Thank you.
for all of you and Rajendra. Yeah.
Thank you. Amit. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Bye.